But first, I'm joined on the line by Bill Woodhouse. He's a retired Royal Navy sub-lieutenant who got to know Ted Heath through his boat-building firm. Hi there, Bill, and welcome to the Politics Show.
Hello, Tony.
What are your thoughts about the press reports over the last couple of weeks then about him being investigated for child sexual abuse? You obviously don't know the details, but what are your thoughts about those that have emerged and how that affects what we now know about who was the man who was Prime Minister, and particularly 1974 when we entered the European Union?
Well, indeed. And again, one wonders what pressures he was under to do that. Did he really believe in it? I had quite a lot of correspondence with him. And in one letter he wrote to me, he said, some people are calling me a traitor. Now, how can I be a traitor? My war record. And I rather cheekily wrote back and said, well, of course, Pétain had a wonderful First World War record, the siege of Verdun and so on. And look what he did when the Germans invaded in 1940. He collaborated with them. And he wrote back and said, don't you dare compare me with Pétain, which was I found rather interesting. So yes, I didn't know him that well, but I definitely got the impression he did not like women.
What's been the effect of joining the European Union? Actually, it was Ted Heath that took us into the EEC, wasn't it?
It was indeed. And what's more, what is so bad about that, he said he would not do so without the full support of Parliament and the full support of the people. Well, the people were never consulted, and Parliament was so against it that the two stages were voted against the ECA 72, European Communities Act of 1972. It was rejected twice, and in the end, Ted made it a vote of confidence in his government. Well, now that is really putting MPs on the spot, because if they vote against it, the government's going to fall. And by that, he won by 9 votes. So we were taken in to the European Economic Community then was, which was quite different from what the EU is now, on 9 votes, on a vote of confidence in the government. I mean, I think that, frankly, is utterly disgraceful. But at the time, I was actually rather for it, because I was selling an awful lot of watches to a place like Sweden, who were EFTA, and they were a pain in the neck. You had to have all these customs forms and take them to the nearest Chamber of Commerce, waste half a day doing it, and get them stamped. And so when we had the referendum in 75, I'm ashamed to say I voted for it, because I thought that the EEC, European Economic Community, the common market we were told it was, no loss of sovereignty. Now that brings me to another thing. No loss of sovereignty. Edward was sent a letter by his Attorney General which laid out in great detail the enormous loss of sovereignty that would be involved with ECA 72. He was in his office when the letter was delivered, and Thornycroft was the only man with him in his private office. And Ted opened the letter, read it, and went as white as a sheet, and then folded it up, put it in his pocket, and said to Thornycroft, no one must know about this, not even the cabinet. I mean, it was disgraceful the way we were taking into the EEC. And then, of course, at Maastricht, when it became quite obvious it wasn't going to be the common market anymore, it was going to be the European Union, we should have had a referendum then. I think we've been treated disgracefully by our politicians over this issue. And, of course, it doesn't have anything much to do with Ted Heath's sexual predications, but he was quite capable of obscuring facts and telling downright lies that there'd be no loss of sovereignty. He knew perfectly well we would lose enormous sovereignty. Well, we'd lose control of our country. Our laws are not made by elected politicians anymore. They are made by unelected, self-appointed apparatchiks. Most people don't even know who they are. And they're not discussed. They're all made in secret. They're then presented to the European Parliament, who have to rubber stamp them. Nowadays it has changed. If they don't like a law, they can send it back. And if it's presented a week later, they have to pass it.
Well, Bill Woodhouse, fascinating talking to you from down in Dorsetshire, I think, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Right in the middle. Lovely part of the world.
Thanks very much for joining us on the Politics Show tonight.
Well, Tony, have I answered your questions?
You certainly have, thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Okay, bye then.
Getting bigger by being better. The number one choice for Bristol. This is BCFM 93.2.